The next definition in the series is blast resistant, admittedly an area that I'm not an expert in, but we can still investigate what the definition may refer to, at least using one or the possibly major manufacturer of the material in the sense of SDI members. So let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at what blast resistant means. Okay, here's our next definition. Blast resistant refers to a hollow metal assembly designed and manufactured to resist a specified series of impulse pressures of designated magnitude in pounds of force. And every time that I see blast resistant, which admittedly is not very often, it is designated in how many pounds of force that assembly will withstand. So when I am involved in blast resistant, which is admittedly few and far between, I'm primarily relying on the expertise of the manufacturer that I deal with. In SDI, there are, I would guess that most, certainly probably all of the big names, Seco, Steelcraft, Curry's, Republic, maybe not, just the big names, but most of them can field an offering of something blast resistant to give them a more full-formed product offering to their clients. So what I do in this sort of case, with either blast resistant or ballistic resistant, bullet resistant, is I refer to the manufacturer's product data. And let's talk a little bit about what you're going to end up seeing in a more summary view when it comes to blast resistant. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, here is a document from Assa Abloy. Seco Curry's is who owns this, and an overview is going to be a list of standards that they'll be able to comply with. And what's really interesting about this is it turns out that when you study this, that blast resistance and windstorm are two very, very different types of conditions that need to be addressed in terms of how you design a door to withstand the attack, so to speak. A blast door is going to end up needing to handle a pulse of energy, where there's generally just a pulse of energy that is listed in, whereas with something like a tornado or a hurricane, you've got those plus or minus pressures to contend with, whereas in blast doors that isn't the case as much, and there'll be quite a bit more about that in a moment. Robust design, flexible, aesthetically pleasing, quick installation. Applications: petrochemical plants. This is going to be explosions, obviously. Critical infrastructure, I would say something like the Hoover Dam, not to name names, but think of it. Any really important, a power grid. Government, military, absolutely. Museums, places where you have literally irreplaceable and priceless items that are being housed. And then, of course, hurricane, tornado, or windstorm. They go through a summary here. Assa Abloy is a global leader in door opening solutions, blast and hurricane solutions, from two different groups within the organization. And as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be Seco and Curry's. But what goes right here, Seco and Curry's. But what goes along with that are the hardware items that you'll need for those openings, which are going to be fulfilled by Corbin, Russwin, Sargent, obviously McKinney, etc. Strength: these openings offer the strength needed to protect against the effects of a potentially devastating explosion or excessive force or hurricane winds. If your facility is susceptible to an intentional or unintentional explosion, rely on Assa Abloy to protect the property and its occupants. Designed to meet the most stringent blast and hurricane requirements, and sizes as small as 2868 up to 4080. I'm imagining that that's singles because I don't mention pairs. Seated condition: the blast incident pushes the door against the stops of the frame. I thought of that initially as the pull side of the opening, but to call something the pull side versus the push side, I've been told, and you'll hear about that in a moment, is tricky business. So The terms are seated and unseated. So what's going to be easier to push a door in when it swings in or swings out? Swings in is unseated because the door is not making contact against the face of the stops, whereas seated, when you push, it's pushing against the stops of the frame. 12 gauge or 14 gauge, 18 gauge on the frames, 18 gauge steel stiffened with a fiberglass core construction. That's your common 1970s era, rib core door, steel stiffened door, welded edge seams, etc. Frame 12 to 14 gauge, 5 3/4 through 14-inch jam depths, welded 4-inch headers, multiple anchoring methods, mortise locks, mechanical and electromechanical functions and options, 3-point latches, three latch points protect automatically, a 4th latch point with a single motion. So this is going to be Sargent hardware is what I'm thinking about. I just ordered a multi-point lock for a client because we're doing a windstorm door here in Florida, and when we are thinking of 3 latch points, we're thinking a 3-point latch. Okay, we're going to latch up in the header, in the jam, and at the floor. That 4-point latch is going to be the same scenario, and we do see 4-point latches. Securitech, a company that is not related to Assa Abloy, they produce a line of hardware that's very commonly used in military installations, but extreme high-end retail uses 4-point types of systems as well. We've been doing some of the projects of some very high-end retailers, and they've got thousands of dollars worth of exit devices that are latching top, bottom, and on both sides to protect the extreme amount of street value of handbags and whatnot that's stored in the retail space. So you'll see those. So if the application calls for a 4-point latch, meaning the criteria of the blast-resistant assembly, it's all grade 1. Concealed vertical rods, that's going to make sense. Access control, decorative levers, optional micro shield, 7-year warranty. The problem that I get into with the multi-point locks are they don't meet California code for 5 pounds of reduced force to rotate the lever. And I'm experiencing that right now on a water treatment plant where we literally can't use the manufacturer's prescribed option because of it. We have to look at something else. Luckily, there's a door company that has the 70 pounds water infiltration not required with half glass exterior doors and a grade 1 lever. So luckily, we don't have to have multi-point locks. Now, let's move to this next point of this video.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
So when in doubt, call an expert, and that's what I did. I spoke to, just now, and you'll hear it upcoming, an expert when it comes to blast-resistant opening, someone who works in technical support, engineering, someone who teaches on the subject, and you're about to hear that now, a relatively short summary of the entire product line. I'm not an expert, clearly, but giving some value to the definition of blast resistant or blast resistance. Let's take a listen. After that, we'll look at the video that's mentioned as well.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Hope you guys are all safe. I heard there's tornado warnings.
Yeah, everywhere here, and it's like, it doesn't faze us as much because, this time of year this is happening. But lots of things just stop working like they normally do. It's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. It's just, unfortunately, the attitude here is anywhere but here is the bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you want some blast training 101?
I do. Can you help me with that? Like I don't overstep my bounds time limit with you, Mark?
I can 100% help you, and I'll try to keep it super high level.
Yes, sir.
So blast resistance is a protection against an energy wave. So there's no throwing of a 2x4 or hitting it with a hammer or shooting it with a gun. Blast is energy.
Right.
So if a bomb goes off, an energy wave expands beyond that, that's what we're stopping. Okay. There's different levels. There's two basic categories of blast. There's expected blast and unexpected blast. Expected blast would be like in a lab condition where I'm running a test today, running an engine until it runs out of oil and it explodes, and I want to, be able to clean up that room and reuse it again tomorrow without replacing all the doors and frames. Another example would be in a subway station where when the train goes by it, it's pulsating on that door. With every car that goes by it, you don't want to replace the door and frame every time a train goes by.
Right.
So that's an expected, and you'd want what they call Category 1. At post-blast, they want no damage. Okay. The unexpected blast would be like the front of a military base, where this is protection in the case of the, unforeseen would happen. They don't care if the door is damaged after the blast, but they want to protect people inside from getting hurt. So that's the two kinds of blasts. And the secondary gives you lots more hardware options, for example, much easier to create a door with damage but safe. It's likelihood that the walls are damaged, and the surroundings are damaged, but the idea is to protect people. So you'd see that in like I say, a military base. You might see it in a petrochemical type situation. You might see it on the front of a VA hospital where somebody might, attack that building, that kind of thing.
So the unexpected blast is much more like life safety. I mean,
100%.
We're not going to try to reuse the fire door after the event.
Exactly.
Got it.
So you got to get through that first. Once you have that identified, then it's how much blast are we protecting against? What, is there rebounds, duration, impulse? I can throw all kinds of fancy terms at you, but if the architect doesn't know any of that information, then we can start qualifying.
Right.
Do you know what kind of project this is in, or is he asking generally, or?
This is in anticipation of a future conversation that's yet to occur. So we're not at the point of, you say you want this. You've used extremely generic words from the English language, but we have to distill it down into stuff that a manufacturer can actually say, this is what's important. Yeah.
Not uncommon.
Yeah.
We get this a lot where, give me a blast door. Okay, it's like giving me a sound door. What level of sound do you want? What are you trying to, is there a vision in the door? We can go right down the list. As far as what kind of blast you have, do a takeoff on the doors and frames like you'd normally would. The other big piece of the conversation is it seated or unseated? Different from interior or exterior. It could be, this is seated, meaning the energy from the blast hits the door on the pull side, it seats the door into the frame. And then unseated, of course, would the door be on the other side, trying to blow the door open. As you can imagine, hardware becomes a much bigger factor in the unseated condition.
Yeah.
So
people here in Florida, that don't live here say, why do the doors on your house swing out?
Yep. Yeah, it's a seated position. It's easier to maintain. So, that's the condition. Now, if you're in a hurricane zone, hurricane resistance is different than blast resistance. Hurricane testing, although that's a pressure, a 60 PSF for something like that, that testing has also got 2x4s thrown at it. It's pulsating plus and negative pressures. It's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really what it is. If it's not storm surge, it's the palm tree that falls on your roof that causes the water damage on the inside.
Yep.
How many different categories are there? There's category 1 where you
There's 3 categories.
Okay.
Category 1 is no damage.
Right.
Category 2 is damaged but still operable, so it's not a man trap.
Got it.
Category 3 is completely destroyed, yet you protected everything inside. It might be jammed, it might be whatever. You might need, jaws of life to open that door, and if there's not a back door to that, to get people out.
Right.
But, for example, a lot of your military bases, they go Category 3.
Yeah.
The idea is to protect the people during the bomb. There will be rescuers coming to get people out, or there's a back door into the room, out of the room.
Yeah. What are typical types of, what is the origin of a common blast? Is it a stick of dynamite? Is it a...
So if you're in petrochemical, it's going to be a gas or a liquid typically.
Oh.
Or if you're in a Department of Defense, yeah, it's TNT.
Got it.
Plastic explosive, dynamite, whatever form it comes in. But yeah, so you want to learn the origin. You want to learn what kind of project it is. You want to get everything seeded as much as possible. These are tested assemblies. So when we quote a door and frame, we also on our quote give recommended hardware options to meet those levels.
So such that it's an assembly. So seated,
yep.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, outswing when you can. Absolutely.
Don't be careful about outswing and inswing.
Okay.
I did a job that was a museum. There was a room in the museum for all the stored artifacts. The artifacts were stored in a liquid where when it hit a certain temperature it became explosive. That door swung out of the room for egress purposes. So it's unseated even though it swings out. So stay away from in-swing and out-swing. Stay with the verbiage seated and unseated as far as the blast goes, because you could have it either. Those can intermix.
I thank you for that, because very early in my career I was footloose and fancy free with my liberal use of terms, applying them in a good term, just in the wrong application. So thank you for that.
And that can get you in a hole in a hurry.
Yeah, I bet it doesn't take too many of these openings to get to 6 digits real quick.
Yeah. Now, unlike most people think, if you have I'm going to pick on a Department of Defense for a low PSI rating, say you're in a 5 PSI resistance, the price isn't much over a standard hollow metal door and frame.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be extravagant. But as those parameters change, the price starts climbing.
In the laboratory, how are you replicating this? Or how is the test done? I mean, is it literally real-world scenarios? Here's some plastic explosives.
I get to go blow things up. Yep. It's if you go online to Assa Abloy blast testing in YouTube.
Yeah.
And you'll see some of the testing. It's an air chamber where there's a aluminum bladder that you build a pressure up behind it, and until it hits its breaking point, sends a wave of air pressure down there and hits the door opening.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. If you want some real quick visual, that YouTube video it's only 60 seconds long or something.
Yeah,
but,
I see one here that is
idea.
under Sergeant's profile. It's like you said, with the commercial, it's 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, real short. Okay, so I found the product summary online, obviously. So now I won't be the person that would lack the majority of knowledge when I walk in the room, but it's funneling us down and then relying on the resources at the factory is generally how this goes the first few times. And then a distributor like me becomes a little bit better at it once you've, been forced to find the answers. I'm doing a job, and actually, you guys will supply it, where it's all windstorm, and it's this and that, and it's the PSI, it's half glass, it's BAA compliant, and it's California code compliant, and Assembly 3 requires a 2-point lock. Like switching gears, like the windstorm, where there is Assembly 1 through Assembly 20, is there such a document that you folks have? Meaning... No. Okay, yeah, because they're telling us...
We're working on it.
Yeah, okay.
That multi-point lock is only one option. I don't like what we have online. because yes, that multi-point lock is an option, but if the blast levels are less, I can go all the way down to a mortise lock. I mean, the door that's in the room that you're in right now, you can run into it with your shoulder, and odds are it doesn't pop open.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big
door
door.
one. Door one, shoulder 0.
Right. So that's some level of blast resistance, right? I know you're throwing your body against it, but it is resisting a level of blast. So there's a whole bunch of levels of hardware. That's why I don't get too deep into it in training, because it's just, we've spent years at it learning this stuff, and I'll put you to sleep, I promise.
Yeah, well, actually, it's one reason why I like to go to DHI. I get to sit and nerd out with, people who like to nerd out about hardware.
I actually was out I did a DHI, I was a guest of honor for a DHI presentation out on the East Coast a couple weeks ago. And that's what I did, is I just did a high-level intro of specialty products. So.
And this is a new class that DHI has, right?
This was just a local chapter that just was looking
awesome.
for a guest of honor for the meeting. But I think DHI should do a class like that, full widespread. But I'll handle that when I get the request. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I deeply appreciate the 101. I'm going to watch the video, and thank you for helping. It's we just want to get it right the first time. So thank you very much.
Well, good luck with that, because this is a product that's a design build, and usually you got to wiggle your way in. But we're here to help you and support you the whole way. If you have questions, emailing me is the best way, because I'm on this phone all day long. It's really challenging for me to get back to people, but I try.
And I do appreciate it, and I hope to repay the kindness someday. Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Okay, let's take a look, hopefully a listen at the video, and here it comes.
ASSA ABLOY offers blast-resistant opening solutions to meet U.S. government, military, embassy safety, and security objectives for blast resistance. Providing extra protection against explosions and excessive force, our blast and pressure-resistant doors and frames meet or exceed the stringent performance requirements of the Department of Homeland Security and other regulatory groups. The advanced strength and integrity of these openings bring other important benefits: long life, high durability, and maximum corrosion resistance. Team members from ASSA ABLOY joined forces with Architectural Testing Inc. and the Discovery Channel to demonstrate the strength of these products. The Discovery Channel filmed the demonstration, which aired on the Daily Planet, a show that features interesting accomplishments in science news. The ATI facility houses an indoor shock tube that evaluates the resistance of an opening against a bomb blast. Pressures during the test may exceed 1,700 pounds per square foot. This simulates a blast of approximately 50 pounds of TNT at 86 feet from the door opening. The testing and evaluation ATI performs behind the scenes helps manufacturers ensure their products meet acceptable safety standards and code requirements. Test openings are pushed beyond design limits as a part of R&D and validation. Conducting tests up to 3 times the
Test openings are pushed beyond design limits as part of R&D and validation. Conducting tests up to 3 times the required performance level provides our team with data needed for continuous improvement, and as an extra measure of security and protection.
Design limits as a part of R&D and validation. Conducting tests up to 3 times the required performance level provides our team with data needed for continuous improvement and as an extra measure of security and protection. Testing
So, I'm going to say that might be category 3. Probably, life safety, but completely inoperable afterwards. Neat.
Confirmed these products will perform and provide life safety protection to the occupants. ASSA ABLOY offers third-party tested blast assembly.
4 psi peak, 6, 12.
Up to 12 psi peak pressure, and special orders for over 12 psi available as an option. The opening features doors from Seco Door, Curry's, Fleming, and Security Metal Products. The corresponding hardware for the assembly is manufactured by Corbin Russwin, Sargent, and Yale. Please contact your local ASA Abloy Door Security Solutions representative for details about blast and pressure-resistant openings.
So in summary, you hopefully get the impression that the manufacturer, when I say the manufacturer, I mean every manufacturer. I've bought hollow metal from lots of hollow metal manufacturers, in the sense I've worked with Kewanee, Mesker, Seco, Curry's, Republic, Fleming that they mentioned, some others that are less well known, smaller, maybe regional or specialty. And the only company that I've never had anything direct with was Steelcraft, and it's only because they just, we were never a Steelcraft distributor. But all of their tech support departments are always extremely helpful. I remember back in the early 90s, very early 90s, with Tom Field at Kewanee, who basically wrote the technical manual at Kewanee, and he later went on to Mesker after Kewanee was no longer a hollow metal manufacturer. And everyone is just really helpful. So whenever in doubt, reach out to an expert, and let's move on to the next definition in the series, which is borrowed light, something I know a little bit about. Let's talk about that now.
Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.